Hello everyone, Morris, and welcome to Things to Invest. Talk about investing, finance, versus development. For today's video, times only. Investment I'm going to talk about today will be Ethereum ticket ETH. I know it's my second video that I'm posting again today. I wasn't planning on posting again, but with respect to the volatile times that we're currently experiencing with respect to Ethereum, despite it's currently kind of late right now on a Saturday night, around like 8 p.m. right now Eastern time. I want to just come back on the camera to see how it's trending. I don't really have any plans during tonight. As my day was relatively long, right? I spent basically the whole day out already, so I'm relatively tired. But for me, I am a workaholic and I want to make sure that you guys are well informed on seeing how the trend's going right now, right? Knowing the fact that, it is a volatile couple of days and weeks so far. So it's important that you guys feel secure and also, stay sane within that, methodology that we've been applying so far, right? So with respect to Ethereum, as I'm recording myself, basically almost 8, like 7:57 p.m. on Eastern time, currently like $2,539, up about 3.02%. I was doing a little bit of research on my way home. I was reading through the news just to see like if there's anything that is new, right? I would say overall there isn't really anything new per se. Per my early video that I posted this morning already, like with respect to it was just to regurgitate again, right? Ethereum yield farm tokens up 200% in the week after Coinbase listing. So that's one article that's coming from Decrypt. That's relatively positive. And then the other one, right, from Business Insider, Bitstamp CEO says that he's been blown away by the interest in Ether staking, which is another like regurgitations on, obviously talk about the unique value proposition and why it's differentiated, as we gear up for that transition to Ethereum 2.0, right? And then some other news from Decrypt again, Ethereum hard fork, that is going to be debuting obviously on August 4th, which is basically the upcoming Wednesday, which is another positive news again, right? And then some other news would be something about Gary Vaynerchuk. So, Gary Vaynerchuk, he's the founder of Vayner Media Company, which is a conglomerate, and he's obviously a public figure in the U.S. For those that follows his YouTube channel and obviously his media work, if you may, right? And he recently just paid 3.7 millions in Ethereum for a CryptoPunk NFT, right? Another, just another name drop, if you may, coming from Decrypt, right? And then another news that's coming from CoinDesk this time. Robo-advisor Wealthfront offers grayscale investments in Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Another, one of those venture-backed type of businesses, comparable to like Coinbase, that's offering these type of investments, specifically for grayscale trust, right? That with respect to what JP Morgan is offering as well, right? Bitcoin Trust, Ethereum Classic Trust, and obviously Ethereum Basic Trust at the same time, right? So obviously a lot of positive news. Collectively speaking, if you count, how substantive they are, I would say they are regurgitating news with some new developments, but overall, again, right, these are just news that are reinforcing what has already been known. If you follow the market, right? But obviously, not every investors are as diligent as we are, right? So something to be mindful of, right? These are not new news; these are just regurgitating news, but they kind of spin it in a way that makes it feel like it is new news, if you may, right? So I'm gonna go through technical analysis again to see how the trends are going right now, right? If history was to repeat itself, what will be the ideal level that we could potentially surge up to? Or are we gonna see more of a sell-off coming? Ahead of the London fork debut that's coming up on basically a couple of days from now, on August 4th, on Wednesday coming up. So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Alright, so moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ticket ETH. I'm recording this of 8:10 p.m. on the Eastern time. Currently like $2,537, up about basically 3% so far. Right? And you could see that we are leaping up and away. And we have been leaping for quite some time now, right? For ever since on the 20th. And we've been leaping up for the last 11 days so far. Right? Today's the 31st, the last day of July. right? If you speak on the MACD, we are relatively crossed up, and you could see that RSI is pretty much leaning towards the overbought level, right? And if history was going to repeat itself, right? How much can we leap up to based on just how the chart is set up right now, right? So let's take a look at historical trends, right? So we are at like a comparable level that we were at before, somewhere when we were on April 25th, right? And remember the surge. What are the catalysts drove the surge, right? It was the Coinbase IPO. It was the Bitcoin adoption that Elon Musk from Tesla has decided to purchase a relatively sizable amount, right? About like $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, right? And also with respect to Elon Musk's debut on SNL, the Dogecoin pump was also one of the catalysts, right? With all of that as a drag effect, subsequently drive up the surge across the whole crypto market, not just for Ethereum, but for Bitcoin as well, right? When we hit all the way close to about like $65,000 at one point, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look real quick, right? Yeah, 65, right? That was like the all-time high that we got, right? And that also have obviously the drag effect, and altcoins can be a little bit more dramatic in comparison to stable coin, right? And whatever goes up really, really fast comes down just as fast, right? You could see how many mega red candles we got, right? And you could see the reason why these red candles are relatively sizable, right? These are whales selling, right? These are not public investors selling. Public investors look kind of like, in incremental type of pieces, right? But big surge means one large account decide to sell. And we have multiple large accounts that sold in that duration, right? Again, whatever goes up really fast comes down just as fast, right? And this was mainly driven by news at that time, positive news that we've been having consecutively. So this is not something that we are unfamiliar of, right? This is something we have seen in the past before, right? So let's say the history is going to repeat itself. How would the movie looks like this time, right? So let's look, right? So on 25th of April, right? At that point, the MACD was relatively, higher than the level we at right now. But it was also the time when we had that cross section at the same time. There was the golden cross, right? However, the golden cross is all the way down here. We have to wait for a while now, right? So the surge for this pump that we are experiencing right now is going to be lower in expectations in comparison to the 4,383. That's just a matter of fact because the golden cross has crossed for quite some time now. Also, on top of the fact that RSI is already oversold. By that time, when we crossed, the RSI was below here, right? So if you were to match the momentum again, the level of the next leap up would not be as dramatic as this one, right? I think the next level that we can go up to, ideally, by the London fork would be the 2,750, right? Which is a relatively substantive level, right? And do we see 3,000? I think possibly, but I don't think we will actually be there for a long time. I think we won't even get there substantively because of the fact that we never got there substantively at all, right? You could see that we never really got there. We never even consolidated at that level at all. We had that once, right? But that was like a kind of just a consistent or more of a consecutive surge, right? And then we sold off, but the sell off was a big mega dump by a big whale. So we never consolidated at 3,000, right? So I really hope that we get to 3,000 and we consolidate because that will form a new platform for us. And then we know that we're gonna sell off from there because we know that is non-substantive, right? And I think by then we'll be highly overbought, right? Again, right, comparable to the level we were at before, but obviously not as high as before. So I think we will probably hover around like the $3,000, right, and then sell off from there. And the sell will be relatively bloody. It will be just like comparable to the things we see right here, right? So again, right, the news, consecutive positive news is happening for a reason, right? And I wouldn't be surprised after London fork we will have that buy the rumor, we get pumped all the way to close to 3,000 and sell the news. you see like consecutive negative news after the London fork. They could potentially be talking about, oh, Ethereum 2.0 is not as what it seems to be. There's a lot of flaws with the new value proposition. There's still a long road ahead for us to get adoptions, or we are selling the dream, if you may. A lot of just negative news here and there just sprinkles across on a daily basis, but they gotta curate it, in a delicate way or in a dramatic way, depending on how much attention you pay on, and we've been keeping tabs, right? So we've been paying relatively, good attention towards the trend so far, right? So I think that's the play coming forward, right? I think if history was going to repeat itself, we can potentially surge up to 3,000 and then sell off from there. And the timing kind of matches with the London fork debut on the 4th. And I think this will just be another typical buy the rumor, sell the news, comparable to the ones we saw from before, with the Coinbase IPO surge and obviously the Elon Musk SNL debut surge and dump subsequently. And then people start thinking, oh, we in the bear market, right? But again, we're not in the bear market, we're in the bull market. And I think a correction like this is healthy. And I really hope that we get to 3,000 and consolidate from there. Because once we get there, we're building more substance. We're building more blocks, to further erect the building that we try to build upon to get to that all-time high by end of this year, right? So something to be mindful of, and hopefully this is helpful into giving you that clarity. Just to recap on numbers and technical analysis, again, right? The risk is increasing dramatically, and I know that if the history was to repeat itself, you could buy now if you want to be. But for me, I am more calculated and I'm taking more of a risk-averse approach. That even though the media affectation is telling me a different story, but the technical analysis is telling me something very different, right? And I've used a logical mindset, right? The potential surge that we could get from here would be maybe a couple $100, right? But the sell-off can be relatively quick and sharp based on just how we've seen so far, right? So ideally, right, the non-substantive level is anywhere above 2,750, right? Do you want to just maybe get a $200 of gains, or do you want to be buying at more of a risk-averse level, right? That is highly substantive, right? And I think we have had many opportunities to buy at a more ideal level before, right? 2,250, 2,150, and obviously the $2,050, a flat number level, right? But if you think about, like, if you buy now, right, are you going to be sweating? I don't think you should be sweating about it, because like long-term value proposition is all we care about, right? In the 12 months price target 9,800. If you buy 2,250, 4.4 times your money from here. Alright, so that's it for the respect my technical analysis on Ethereum again. I know this is a relatively interesting time, definitely very volatile, a lot of macro drivers with a lot of media manipulations at the same time. So definitely requires a clear head and obviously in a relatively analytical mindset for you to decipher through these murky water, if you may, right? Hopefully, what I'm telling you is helpful in terms of how you risk mitigate the profile going forward, right? So you are taking more of a risk-averse approach, and being more calculated rather than just have that FOMO type of feel, right? So hopefully it's helpful. You're probably going to see me again tomorrow to give you guys a more of an update. So I'm going to go back to, enjoy my dinner and spend more time with my family now. It's getting late, 8:20 p.m. I'm just going to relax, maybe watch some Netflix and just call it a night from there. I'm relatively tired, but hopefully you guys understand, I'm a workaholic, so hopefully you guys find this helpful. But stay tuned for the next one. Take care. Bye.